guys, welcome back to my channel and to another video. And as you probably saw from the title of this video, today we're going to be talking about everything that I'm going to be wearing this spring. I did a video like this last year and I intended to do one for the fall. I even kind of teased it a little bit on this channel and I didn't end up doing it because I got so busy in the fall. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about everything I'm going to be wearing, and I feel like there is going to be a little bit of overlap from last spring because I feel like my things that I want to wear haven't really changed that much, to be honest.
And now a message from our sponsor.
Okay, I'm interrupting the video so that I can bring a word from today's sponsor, which is Fashion Conservatory. And if you don't know what Fashion Conservatory is, where have you been? Because I've talked about them on my channel before. And it is basically a website where you can find curated vintage pieces like clothing and accessories. And they sent me this giant box filled with vintage clothes. And I just filmed a little unboxing for my Instagram. But I thought I would pop on here and do a little try on so you guys can actually see what the pieces look like on. I mean, look at these colors. I feel like Fashion Conservatory really set me up for spring here. So let's try some of these on. I haven't tried them on yet because I just opened the box like a few minutes ago. Okay, so we're going to be starting out with this little 1940s dress, but since it's actually made out of wool, I'm intending to wear this as a light spring coat, and it's black and wool. Ooh, it even has its little original vintage tag. Actually, Fashion Conservatory has a whole section on their website where you can look up designers and tags so you can find information and research on them. So definitely something to look on their website. So like I said, this is technically a 1940s dress, but I am going to be wearing it more as a coat just because it's so thick and it's made out of wool. It has these like large velvet patches here at the front, and then it has these little gold buttons. This is what it looks like when it's all closed, and I think it is stunning. Like, I know it's meant to be worn as a dress, but I think it actually works better as a little overcoat actually. And I think my favorite part is these little pleats. I don't know if the camera's going to pick them up because it's black, but it has these little pleats here at the front. And I think it's so romantic. I feel like I see things like this in dresses and like little like floral like sheer dresses, and I think it just looks so romantic. It kind of reminds me of that one video that I always reference, that 1930s like street scene video. I feel like some of the coats in that video have this detail, or I don't know if I'm making that up. I just think it looks so cute. Okay, let me try on the next thing. So this needs to be steamed, so ignore the fact that there's creases on it. But then I also got this little 1940s gray little wiggle skirt, and it's something a little bit out of my comfort zone because I feel like it's a little bit more fitted than I usually wear, but I think it's going to be a really nice staple that I can just kind of throw on like day to day. I think it's going to be perfect. I feel like this gray will just match everything. And this one also has a little vintage label, so I can use the section in the Fashion Conservatory website to look up a little bit more about the brand. But either way, this is what it looks like. I have no words. Can we just talk about how cute this little like late 1930s, early 1940s dress is? I love the silhouette, and I actually really love the colors, which is very odd for me because I feel like these colors are not something that I normally like grab, but I think it is so cute. I love it. It's so happy and so perfect for the spring and summer. Like, look at these colors. I actually find this silhouette really flattering for me. Yeah, I love this, and this one also has a little vintage tag, so I'll do a little close-up so you guys can see. Okay, this might be my favorite dress, actually my favorite piece out of the entire package. Look at this 1930s royal blue velvet dress, and you guys know how much I love a lace collar, and look at these kind of ruffly puff sleeves. It is just so feminine and dainty and everything that I ever look for in a dress. It is just so stunning. Let me get closer, and I know this is going to get super blown out because this is velvet, but look at the detail. And it also has a little matching belt that goes along with it and has the lace here on the sleeves as well. So make sure you guys check out fashionconservatory.com so you can find some amazing curated vintage pieces. I am in love with these, so thank you so much, Fashion Conservatory. I'm going to be wearing these non-stop this spring and summer. I already know these are going to be some favorites in my closet. But yeah, okay, I'll let you guys get back to the rest of the video. Also, ignore the fact that there's a table here. I was going to try to memorize everything, but then I was like, we are friendly enough that I can have some notes in front of me to keep myself on track. So ignore that. Okay, so obviously I'm going to be leaning towards 1930s and 1940s fashion. I do like a little bit of 1920s for the summertime, but I definitely do lean towards 1930s and 1940s. In the past, I have leaned a little bit more heavily in 1940s, but I am kind of trickling down to 1930s that I really like, but still the main focus is 1930s and 1940s. So as an overall vibe, one of the styles that I really like is the like wartime sweetheart. I just think the style is just so cute. You have a lot of, I don't want to say sheer dresses, but the fabric is a lot softer and there's a lot of pleats, especially here in like the chest kind of shoulder area. There's a lot of like heart-shaped jewelry. You see a lot of like the sweetheart brooches, necklaces, and bracelets that I really like. So that's one style that I'm really liking. So another like vibe that I really like is the 1930s socialite. And okay, hear me out. So I feel like I'm gonna have to put photos on the screen so you guys can get an idea of what I'm talking about. But this is like the really long, like flowy 1930s like bias cut gowns, like the florals and like the big hats, going to like garden parties and like big estates and like horseback riding. I don't do any of these things. I don't have an estate, obviously, but I feel like the vibe is, I really like it. Think of it as like the old money aesthetic, but like the 1930s version. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's so much fun, and I just think it's really pretty. So definitely trying to emulate that kind of vibe. There's also this one 1930s video on YouTube. I'm going to be linking it down below and also putting it on the screen now, that I referenced last year as well, that I really like that kind of style. I don't know what it is. I feel like it kind of leans a little bit more to wartime sweetheart, but not quite there yet because it's a little bit earlier before World War II, but I don't know what it is. I really like it. I think it's really cool. So okay, so now let's get into the colors that I'm going to be wearing. And I feel like for myself personally, the color that I've been really drawn to this year is kind of like an Art Deco green. I don't know why, I've just been really into green. I feel like, I'm telling you, ever since I got that bathrobe like a year ago, you know the one, I've worn it like a million times. Ever since I got that bathrobe, I've been obsessed with that kind of green shade. So I've been looking for more pieces like that. I feel like green is a really hard color to find. Like, it's not when you Google like things on Pinterest, you find tons of green, but when you're actually looking for pieces to buy, there's not that many. So definitely on the top of my shopping list is some green. And then of course I'm going to be leaning more towards like the muted tones, like pink and like an orangey peach color, yellow, and then light blue. I feel like last year the Pantone color of the year was Fuzzy Peach, and I did say I wasn't really obsessed with the color. It's a little too light for me, but this year the Pantone color of the year is Mocha Mousse, and I actually really like the shade. I don't lean too much toward that kind of shade of brown. I do like a darker chocolate brown better, but I'm open to looking at some pieces in that kind of brown tone. I think it's really pretty. Okay, now let's get into the patterns that I'm going to be wearing this year. So one of the patterns that I've been really liking is the ditzy flowers, and I have loved these for so long. I feel like I've mentioned this in the past like 3 seasons, but I really like the kind of really small little ditzy flowers everywhere on dresses. I think they're really feminine and just really pretty. However, I've also been really into like the deco geometric kind of shapes, which is new for me. I feel like I haven't really leaned that way before, but you have kind of like repeating patterns, maybe like circles or squares. I do try to stay away from dark contrast patterns. Like if it's like black and white, I feel like it's a little bit too overwhelming for me, but I feel like if the colors are less contrasty, then it kind of works. Like if you have like a light blue and white, then it might be fine for me, but if it's like black and white, then it's too harsh. So I do tend to look more to solid colors because I feel like it looks better on me, but I do want to experiment, especially in like blouses and stuff. Okay, so now let's get into the actual specific clothing pieces that I'm going to be looking at. So the first one that I've been really into this year is like a sheer 1930s dress and little matching jacket kind of combination, and I think these are so beautiful. I found a couple on Etsy, but they tend to be a little bit more expensive because they're so like representative of the 1930s. So they are a little bit harder to get your hands on, but I'm kind of crossing my fingers that I run across one that's a really good price so that I can get one. I'll put some examples on the screen. So there's that. Those are really pretty. And then I'm also looking at some longer skirts. I feel like the 1940s had a little bit shorter skirts, like right below the knee, but the 1930s the skirts were longer, and I actually find them really flattering. So I'm going to be trying to experiment a little bit with some longer skirts to have a more like 1930s kind of style. I do want to get some more separates because I feel like I have so many dresses, but I don't have enough like blouses and skirts or shorts either, like 1940s shorts. I would like to get some separate pieces. I feel like that would be a really great piece, or great pieces to have in my closet. And then I also have been really into like knit sets. So either it's a dress and jacket or skirt and top kind of situation. 1930s or 1940s both have really great knit pieces, but they are harder to find and they do tend to be more expensive. So again, crossing my fingers, I come across one that's a really good price. Oh, I've also been really into like 1940s like pointed collar blouses, kind of like the one that I'm wearing right now. I feel like I tended to wear just like regular thrifted little blouses, but I feel like with stuff like this where it doesn't have a collar, I feel like it just works really nicely to have the actual pointed collar on the outside. I feel like it just kind of adds something extra to the outfit and it makes it look a little bit more 1940s, because I feel like this is something that they did a lot in that time period. Oh, okay, and something else that I have been really trying to experiment, but I haven't been able to find one yet, is 1930s and 1940s undergarments, like a garter and like a bra kind of piece. And I feel like the hardest part about it is if I look online, I feel like I can't try it on, and I am a little bit more on the smaller side and I don't really have much of a chest, so I feel like I do want to try it on to make sure that it fits me properly and it's not going to be like creating gaps and like weird folds underneath my clothes, if that makes sense. So I'm hoping that the Toronto Vintage Clothing Show has something like that, because I feel like that would be perfect so I can actually try it on, or maybe in like a vintage store that's actually downtown Toronto or something that I can hopefully find something like that. And then accessories are always a huge must, because I feel like they can really transform your outfit. I feel like if you have something kind of vintage inspired and then you add in some actual vintage accessories, I feel like it makes such a huge difference. So one of the first things that I'm going to be wearing a lot this spring and summer is going to be sunglasses. I mentioned this in my last year's video as well. I feel like I've never really been a big sunglass girl, but I started getting into them last summer. And then I feel like I wore them so much that I feel like I'm going to be wearing them all the time this summer, because I feel like it makes such a huge difference. It really does transform an entire outfit if you have the right sunglasses. So I've been really into these like little round sunglasses that I got on Etsy. I'm going to be linking them down below for you guys. But yeah, I feel like those are kind of my favorite sunglasses. Oh my gosh, okay, another thing that I've been really into is those like plastic or celluloid, is that how you pronounce it? Celluloid brooches. I have been loving those. I think they're so cute and so fun. I feel like before I used to be really into like metal kind of like gemstone-y kind of brooches, a little bit more 1950s, but I started getting into like the more 1930s, 1940s ones, and I am just obsessed. I also have these ones that like they dangle, and I think they're so cute. I want to get more of those, so fingers crossed that I find more of those. Oh, okay, something that is actually very new for me is bracelets. I have a thing with bracelets because I don't like wearing them in the winter time, because if I have long sleeves, I don't like having something hitting my bracelet. Does that make sense? I feel like that just, it honestly annoys me and I have to take it off. But I feel like in the summertime, if I am wearing like short sleeves or something shorter like this jacket, for example, then I can wear a bracelet and it's not going to be hitting anything. So I don't know, I've kind of been getting a little bit more into it. I did get one bangle the other day, which I haven't bought a bangle in years. Of course, hats are a huge thing for me. I love vintage hats. I'm trying to get more of those tilt hats that kind of fall on top of my face. I feel like they're so cute and they actually really flatter my face shape, probably because it's covering part of my face. But I think they're really flattering and they really do transform an outfit, and they make it look a little bit more 1930s with the kind of piece falling on the face like that. I think it's so cute. I would also be open to getting some more like late 1920s hats. You know those ones that are a little bit more like wide brim, like not the cloche hats, but like the ones that like kind of open up a little bit more. I don't know. I feel like any kind of hat that's bigger at the top always looks better on my face shape. Okay, what else? Oh, okay, something else that I have been really into this year, which is new, is clutches. I have been obsessed with clutches. I love holding it and just like walking around. I don't know why it makes me feel like so feminine versus just like holding it. You guys know I don't do crossbody bags or like long strap bags, so it's either really tiny little handle or a clutch, but I've been like really into it. There's something really feminine and like carefree about having such a small purse that you just walk around and holding it, you know, you're not lugging anything huge around. I don't know, there's something really special about that and I really like it, especially like walking down the city with your little clutch. I don't know, I just think it's really cute. And yeah, that is basically everything that I'm going to be wearing this spring. Let me know in the comments below if you are on the same page as me, if you're looking for the same kind of things, or what are you looking forward to wearing this spring and summer? Are you looking for more nautical pieces? Are you into like the 1950s? Let me know. I want to know everything down in the comments below. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Pinglo, and don't forget to subscribe if you are new to this channel. And okay, that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!